I quit Wall Street cold turkey, not knowing what I was going to do. My dad told me I threw any chance of becoming a millionaire out. My family members not want to continue talking to me because they said, everyone was living through me. I was supposed to bring the money back home. They thought every chance of me becoming a millionaire was thrown out. When I said I wanted to do real estate investing, absolutely. There's no one that's been in the business for 15 years that hasn't taken losses. That's done a significant amount of volume. We've taken losses, but the only losses I've taken were deals that only had one exit strategy. Implementing AI into our business has taken things to new heights. So if you're not working with AI now, if you think that it's a fad, it's not. It's here to stay. Incorporate into your business.
Sayam Ibrahim joins me here today, and you can find him on Instagram. Find Real Deal Sayam there. No relation, right? Regarding our Real Deal crew and Real Deal Chat and Real Deal everything else we got going on, but Real Deal Sayam. Really appreciate your time here today. We're going to be you got a pretty big event coming up. It was the first or second week of September where
Right.
people can take advantage of a free event there. But we better start things off with some of that information and your story on how you found your way into real estate investing.
Yeah. So every Thursday and Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern, we do a free masterclass. So it's a 90-minute training on how you can obtain off-market real estate, how you can fund this real estate to close your first or next investment property, and then how just buying one rental property can add an extra $20,000 to your bottom line every year using depreciation and cash flow. So we really try to do a systematic approach to obtaining financial freedom through buying and owning real estate. People talk about flipping, they talk about new construction, but I'm a big believer in buy and hold. It's the easiest, lowest risk investment you can possibly do and the quickest path to getting financial freedom for you and your family. But let's take it back, right? I've been in real estate for 15 years. Haven't always been in real estate. I was born in New York City and grew up in Jersey as a teenager, and I'm the son of two immigrant parents. My mother's from the Dominican Republic and my father's from Ethiopia, but they didn't come to this country with a lot of money, but they came here with hard work ethic and drive. My dad was a yellow cab driver for 21 years in New York City, and my mother was a hairstylist and babysitter. And so they knew they had three young boys, me and my brothers, and they knew they wanted a better life for us than they had. So they made sure we studied. I graduated high school, went to college, and eventually ended up working on Wall Street. Did that for a little bit, thought I was set for life, but quickly realized that I did not want that lifestyle for my entire life. I was a slave to corporate America. I was living to work, not working to live. And 80-hour plus weeks, it all came down to this one point where I wanted to get married with my now wife. And I told my boss 3 months heads up notice that I was going to be taking 2 weeks off. I was going to get married, to do it right. And he said, sure. When it came time to it, he actually asked me if I can reschedule my wedding because we were too busy. So, I took a step back and I said, is this how I want to live the next 20, 30 years of my life? Watching him not be able to show up to birthday parties because he had client meetings, and I quit Wall Street cold turkey, not knowing what I was going to do. My dad told me I threw any chance of becoming a millionaire out. My family members not want to continue talking to me because they said, everyone was living through me. I was supposed to bring the money back home. We bought, renovated, and sold our first property in Newark, New Jersey, and made a $60,000 profit. That was 15 years ago. And we've been in the business ever since. So from that time till now, we've done over 1,400 real estate transactions, valued over $250 million in real estate. And we built a rental portfolio of about 600 doors, including a hotel in the Dominican Republic that we bought because I've always wanted to go back to my roots. So we've done a little bit of real estate since then. And I think it was the right choice, leaving Wall Street cold turkey.
What was your family like, or what was their first reaction when you decided and told them that this is something you were going to do?
Yeah, my dad, my mother, they believed in getting a great job, staying in that job for 20, 30 years, and then saving up money and eventually retiring. My dad, he was a yellow cab driver, saved some money up and eventually opened his small business. He worked his butt off his whole life. He didn't want that lifestyle for me. So when I left Wall Street, they thought I was throwing away my entire career. They thought every chance of me becoming a millionaire was thrown out. When I said I wanted to do real estate investing, they didn't necessarily believe in it because they didn't come from that background. I wasn't born with a silver spoon. I didn't come from a long line of real estate investors. We had to bootstrap it and figure it out. And that first deal set the precedent, everything beyond that. We didn't have the money. I didn't know where the money was to come from. We borrowed here, borrowed there. My brother, who found the deal, went and got a cash advance on the title of his car. So we went all in. Like, this thing had to work. We made $60K flipping our first house.
Our family and friends, they have the best intentions at heart, but But you were really adamant, and then you said your brother put a lien against his car in order to get this thing funded.
Mhm.
Like, so you got kind of both sides of the coin there. You have some support with your brother. What made you so convinced that this was the direction, especially early on? And I know it paid off. The 60 grand is nothing to sneeze at, but you're really rolling the dice there, especially with no experience.
Yeah, I know. I was a little nervous at first, don't get me wrong, but my brother believed in the deal. He found it. It was a house. We had no formula, by the way. It's not like I knew how to figure out what the profit was going to be going in. They literally found a house that was beat up, surrounded by pretty houses, and that was our entire formula. We bought it for $45,000. We figured out the rehab, probably could have renovated it for half the amount we did because we did a lot of stuff ourselves and had to paint the house 3 times because the paint job didn't come out great. And we figured it out. And then, but we knew that we wanted to be self-employed. We knew that we wanted to have our own business. And we had seen many people make a lot of money through real estate. So we said, a lot of people are doing this and it's working well for them. Why can't it work for us? So we gave that full shot. But to put it in perspective, our second deal actually was horrible, right? Because I had no systems. Our first deal went well. Our second deal almost knocked us out the game before we even got started because we took a huge loss on that second deal, again, because we had no systems. We had no training. We actually lost almost everything we made on the first deal, right? And it put me into a depression because I just got married. My new wife, was pregnant with my kid, all right? And I was supposed to be bringing money to the household, not taking money away, and we took a huge loss. So, I kind of went in my shell and didn't know what I wanted to do next. But I believe in having a great support system, had a lovely supporting wife, had a loving supporting business partner and brother, and my wife came to me. I remember like it was yesterday and said, look, if you really want to try this again, you need to go out and learn from somebody that's already doing this and following their footsteps versus you just trying to figure it out on your own. And that's exactly what I did. And went and got a coach. I started following someone that had been doing this for years, had done dozens of deals. It literally changed the entire trajectory of my business. I learned how to find off-market real estate. I learned to not just listen to what someone's telling me, but also verify myself. I learned how to scale the business. In the following year, we did 19 deals. I learned how to raise money at that point in time as well. Learning from someone already doing the business changed my entire trajectory of this career. And you go know my story, right? 15 years later, done over 1,000 deals.
Yeah. Well, that's another mindset thing, right? Like the concept that getting some help along the way is probably, frankly, I can only speak for myself, but that's probably produced more ROI than any physical house I've ever invested in.
I agree. Look, we can all figure this out. It might have taken me 5 years to figure it out and really get a good footprint of what I wanted to do. Or I could just follow someone that's doing this on a daily basis, tag along with them, ask them questions, right? The reason I lost money in my second deal is because I relied on what someone else told me. The realtor said, you're going to sell this house for 250. I sold it for 200. The realtor said that that deal was going to be a $30,000 renovation. I spent 80 grand renovating that. And it was like choking, trying to find the extra 50 when I wasn't anticipating it, right? All that, the extra renovation, trying to find the money, extended the holding time on that deal. It was just a perfect storm to take a huge loss. Now that I know how to verify those things, yeah, sure, listen to a realtor, listen to a wholesaler, but then verify yourself, right? And bring in, verified data. It changed everything for us.
Yeah. Trust but verify. That's the old adage, right?
Wow.
So what does your day look like today? I mean, 15 years later, I would imagine your systems and processes are in place and things are a bit smoother and more predictable.
More predictable. We don't do as much flipping anymore as we did in the beginning of our business because we were trying to build up capital. Now what we do is we buy and hold, right? I buy a rental, I hold it for 3, 4, 5 years, sometimes even longer. And by doing that, our returns are significantly more and our stress level is significantly less. I'm a big believer that if you're going to do a deal, even if you want to do flipping, you should also underwrite it as a rental in the case the market doesn't go your way, right? Market could change from one day to the next. A crazy tweet can, shift the entire market, right? And have buyers going crazy and rates changing where the market slows down. So every deal that we do, we underwrite it as a flip. Every deal that we do, we underwrite it as a rental. So either way, I can profit and be happy with it. So today, what most of my day is looking at reports. We have a whole team. We have a property management team. We have our renovation team. We have all these different teams that are in charge of their stuff and they report to us. So we're making major decisions as opposed to making detailed, everything being on us. We work on the business as opposed to in the business today.
You and I probably share the same thing, similar strategies then, because we actually, when we underwrite our opportunities now, it's required that we have multiple exits. So at least, 2 or more, just to make sure that we're covered if we have to pivot in some direction.
Absolutely. There's no one that's been in the business for 15 years that hasn't taken losses. That's done a significant amount of volume. We've taken losses, but the only losses I've taken were deals that only had one exit strategy. We did a bunch of high-end homes in Orlando and took a bath in those homes because the market changed. They took longer to sell. But whenever they've been multiple exit strategies, we can pivot and still make money and profit and let it appreciate, take the tax benefits, cash flow, whatever it is. So I 100% agree with what you say. Do not do a deal unless there's multiple exit strategies so you can stay safe.
Well, you mentioned that second deal was really a gut punch, especially coming off the high of that first deal. What did you have to go through to come to grips? Because I know what it's like. You get that gut punch, it completely throws off your compass. You don't know which direction to go, what you should be focused on, what you should even do. It becomes almost paralysis. How did you break through that and find the necessary direction and get back up again?
Yeah, I think you actually hit the nail on the head. So I had paralysis. I went into my shell and just thought to myself for weeks, like, is this the right decision? I know this works. It's working for other people. Why not me? Right. And started second guessing everything. I believe in having a strong support system. So if your spouse, if your significant other supports you in your journey, you're going to be so much more successful. I hear from some of my friends that are in the business or in any business when their spouse is talking them down or their spouse saying, oh, this is not something that's going to work. This is not going, they don't believe in them. It makes it that much harder to have success. So my spouse came to me and said, look, if you really do want to try this again, like you're saying, go out there and learn from someone. And so I think what changed my whole trajectory or changed my whole mindset was finding someone that was already doing this and just copying what they're doing. And that's exactly what we do actually for the people that we work with and teach them how to get into the business is we show them what we're doing on a day-to-day basis, right? In our business, not as because we actually are in the business, as opposed to many people out there that are preaching and teaching, but don't actually do the business. They're teaching from a book that they read or a theory. Actual practice is very different. And I think that's what kind of took me out my shell, being able to follow someone, being able to see how they go to appointments and close a deal, listening to calls where they're on with sellers and taking all that in and kind of reworking it for myself, my business.
Yeah, it's interesting you bring that up because you're absolutely right. We even see some national chains that will come into your market and bring in their sales team, and none of them have actually they don't know what they're just regurgitating what they were trained in their sales training, right?
Mm.
I'd be curious, like, what was the process you went through to select that mentor?
Yeah, no. So the first thing I did is I wanted to make sure that I was working with someone that was actually in the business. So when I found the mentor, which I recommend to anyone, ask them, can you see some of their HUDs? Look at some of their closing statements, right? Because there's a lot of these, bad acts out there that aren't really doing the business, but are trying to teach people and they set people up for failure, right? So that's one. So ask them to see their HUDs, ask them to see closing statements, which is one of the things we did. And the second thing, I wanted to speak to current students and make sure they were seeing success just like the mentor was. And if students are seeing success, then I know I can see success because I'm going to put the work in. I'm definitely going to go all in on whatever I do. If I believe in it, if it's working for others, it'll also work for me. So those are two things. Spoke to some other prior mentees or students and looked for verified HUDs to make sure they actually were doing the business of what they're preaching.
And just to remind everybody, we're talking to Sayam, and you can find him on Instagram. Look for RealDeal_Sayam there. This show only grows if you do us a quick favor and share this with one of your investor friends. If you're watching us on YouTube, like and subscribe. That algorithm just absolutely loves that. Based on everything we're talking about, we're going to get into the meat of things here regarding what's currently working for you. Like, I don't know about you, but for example, in my market, direct mail had been working for years. All of a sudden, it has stopped. I can't get anybody to respond to my direct mail. What are some of the strategies that you're seeing that seems to be working in your world?
Yeah, we also used to do direct mail for years and we kind of moved away from it. But one thing that we see work a lot, we put out door hangers, right? We pick a zip code that we like. We put a door hanger, and the door hanger is very simple. So it literally says that, we buy properties, and it shows all the different types of motivation points that would cause someone to want to sell to us. So that's one. Another thing that works really well is targeting distressed sellers via online. So we do Facebook ads. We do that's one that works really well, where we get people to opt in, and for a few bucks, we can speak to hundreds, if not thousands of people that we can help sell their property and get out of whatever the distress is. So that's the second one. And then the third one, which I think works really well, is we target people that target is the wrong word, but we reach out and help people that are losing their property to property taxes. Right, that's been our number one way to get deals for probably 10 years now. So we go to whatever tax collector we want to focus on. We find people losing their property for taxes, and then we shoot them a text message. And even now we can have AI do that now, right? They go back and forth, give all the information that they need, that we need to make a decision, and then a live person calls them for those that seem like they're a hot deal. So we can have AI send 1,000 text messages in an hour versus us having a cold call, which we did back in the day, and only be able to do 20 an hour. It just allows the outreach to be better, but it's still the same thing. Finding a motivated seller, which you did for your direct mail, and just reaching out to them either via social media or AI texting has worked extremely well. I think we're going in the direction of AI for multiple things. So you got to get your head around it if you want to be profitable in 2025 and beyond.
Yeah, well, I help people do exactly that. At realdealcrew.com, we build a number of things. One of them is our AI receptionist is really popular right now, where it's actually answering calls and doing some of those preliminary conversations. And it's pretty crazy, some of the transcripts, because people don't even realize they're talking to an AI half the time.
So when the AI shoots a text message, the message should be something like, hey, we were at the county, noticed that your property is going to auction for taxes. Have you resolved that situation yet? If not, we have a solution that can allow you to pay off those taxes and move on to your next situation in life with some money in your pocket. If you message 300 people, you're going to get some responses. The AI goes back and forth, finds out the bedroom, bathroom count, the condition, asks about recent upgrades, any repairs needed. And then we literally get a rundown of the deal. And then someone in our office calls those that seem like have the probability to close. So we just get much more effective conversations and higher close rates because AI does all the initial eliminating and sifting that usually was done by a real person in the past.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty crazy what you can do here these days. I was going to ask you, you mentioned how many doors? It's like 400 doors or something at this point?
100 doors now.
Now,
A lot in Ohio, so across the various states.
so scaling is one of the biggest challenges a lot of people face when it comes to that. What are some of the strategies or bottlenecks you hit as you were scaling?
Yeah, scaling is always hard. We decided to go and hire a third-party property manager as we were scaling because we said, let's get someone else manage our rentals, right? And deal with evictions, deal with leasing out the units, and we can focus on growth. The actuality of what happened was the opposite, right? So we hired a third-party property manager, and from the moment we hired them, we didn't get paid. They would add fees. They would come up with excuses. They were approving repairs that were 3-4 times what I would have ever spent. And so they were wiping out our cash flow to the tune of 10 months. It took me 10 months to fire them because they used the contract to prevent us from firing them. I eventually had to go to court to fire them and sued them and won a judgment. Still haven't collected on that judgment yet, but hopefully I will eventually. And it was just a really nasty process. So if I was to do that differently and go and kind of rewind, I handed them 400 properties and said, here, manage them because they were large, because they managed a lot of people. So I equated large with good, right? And that clearly was not the case. I would have eased into that management agreement with them and give them 20 properties and they do well, then give them 40 properties and so on and so forth, as opposed to handing them the entire portfolio, assuming they were going to do a great job. So that was probably our biggest difficulty in the scaling process. Right, relying on someone else to manage it. Now we self-manage. We build out teams everywhere we own properties. We have a local, showing agent. We have a local, maintenance manager, and so on and so forth. And we run it all here from South Florida, where I live.
Okay, yeah, well, it's property management is one of the hardest things I think I've had to deal with too. It is just impossible sometimes to find a property manager where your interests are aligned. I mean, they're looking to prop up their business. They're trying to stay in business, and things just don't seem to ever be in sync on that side.
I agree. We've hired a few. That was our worst experience. We've had some that were okay, and we just decided not to work with third-party managers and do it all in-house. we clearly care about the bottom line, right? We incentivize all the employees that if we do well, they do well. So we're all kind of moving in alignment. But yeah, I've had a very difficult time finding property managers that care about your bottom line as much as they care about theirs.
Well, and with the technology that's there, it's becoming increasingly easier. I manage our properties as well, and between remote cameras and security locks, and as long as I have an internet connection there, I can do a lot of the things relatively remotely.
Yeah, I agree. Things have gotten better. Like even our maintenance requests, now they call in and they work with the AI to submit their maintenance issues as opposed to a person that had to answer the phone 24 hours a day. I think the systems, AI, I think we use Appfolio to manage our rentals. Tenants can make payments online now. Before having, they used to mail checks, used to go into Walmart or MoneyGram to make payments. So now with everyone being online, it makes it even easier for bookkeeping because they make the payment online, goes right to their ledger. So I completely agree that as things become more digital and become more online, the management process of these rentals gets a little bit easier.
Can you talk a little bit about the concept of like how do you balance the working in your business versus on your business?
Yeah, I would be lying if I said I don't work in the business. I'm going to Columbus, Ohio today to go kind of check on what's going on and making sure that people are doing what they're doing. I periodically step into town and just kind of get boots in the ground myself, right? But it's really making major decisions that are going to alter the direction of the business. So, one of the things that we did recently is we brought hourly people as opposed to third party maintenance people. And so that's reduced our maintenance costs significantly, right? As opposed to someone hitting you with a $500 invoice to repair a plumbing leak, we can now do that for 2 hours of labor from the guys we brought in our house. Looking at things from a 30,000-foot view and looking down and seeing where the holes are, where the voids are, where can things be improved that'll help the bottom line. And that's kind of where I like to stay today. If I was 100% there, it'd be great, but there's always a balance, right? Because there's things that I still need to go in on and deal with. So I think as we scale further, as the business improves, I hope to remove myself even more, but I'm still, I would say 30% in the business, 70% on the business.
Well, let's go back to your event that's coming up. You're going to be doing this live event. You mentioned you do it a couple times a month, but could you talk a little bit about what people getting out of that and what to expect? Let's set up some expectations as to what happens during those events.
So it's a 90-minute training. And I talk about three things that I think are very important for new investors. How do you find off-market real estate? Most people say when they want to go get a deal, they call a realtor. They tell the realtor, help me find a deal. And we don't even know if that realtor is great at finding deals, right? And you're looking at deals that has all the competition. I'm going to show you how we've acquired hundreds of deals over the years by targeting off-market sellers, what are the best sellers to target and how to target them, reach out to them. That's one. The next thing we talk about is the different ways that new investors fund deals. All right. From private money, hard money, using grants. So you can actually get to the closing time, get the money to close the deal. And the third thing is we show you what the benefits of owning rental properties are and how just adding one rental property to your portfolio can add an extra, $25,000 to $30,000 a year in net benefits to you and your family through depreciation, which many people don't even know about, through appreciation, right? If you get from simply holding, and then through, annual cash flow after covering all expenses. So those are the three main things we talk about. We do them every Thursday at 7 p.m. Eastern, every Sunday at 7 p.m. Eastern. And then once every couple of months, we do a week challenge. We have the opportunity to work with us for 5 days, 2 hours a day, have all your real estate questions answered, and learn real strategies to go out there, start closing real estate. The master classes are every week, twice a week. The next challenge is going to be in September. And I've shared with you the link where they can register for the master class for the next upcoming master class.
Yeah, and that's going to be a clickable link in the show notes so that everybody can take advantage of this. It sounds like a fantastic opportunity. One of the main questions that I get is, okay, I identified these people. They're now calling in. Like, what do I say?
You mean in terms of sellers?
Yeah, the sellers are calling. What do I say? People typically ask for a script of some kind. Like, how do you deal with those calls coming in?
I'll provide a script to all your listeners. So I'll provide a script and email it to you so they can all get a link to it and get it for free just by attending a masterclass. But yeah, essentially it's very simple. The first few seconds of you getting on the phone call, with the seller is building rapport, saying, hey, my name is Sayam with Hero Homes. We're a local real estate investor, and these are why you should work with us, because we buy cash as is, closing your timeline, and we'll cover all the closing costs. So once you've done that, the rest of the call is just gathering information, figuring out, are they the right person to talk to? Are they the decision maker? Get information on the property, find out when the last time major upgrades were done, the roof, the electrical, windows, to kind of get an idea of what the repairs are, find the motivation to sell. And if you're targeting a motivated seller like a tax delinquent list and there's a deadline they need to resolve something, have them start thinking, that seller, what happens if I don't resolve it in that timeline? What are your other options? Get a price from them to see if they're in line with what you're thinking, and then set up a follow-up call. Once you have all that information, and I'll give the script to your audience, once you have all that information, then you can call back, all right, and actually make an official offer. Don't get nervous. Give them a 20, 30-second intro and just gather information in that first call.
Sure. Well, Sayam, this has been a fantastic conversation.
No, I think we hit the nail on the head. I had a lot of fun doing this. I hope your audience enjoys it and finds this valuable. And I invite them all to our masterclass. I can guarantee you're going to get some good actionable items there, and it will be 100% worth it.
Just to remind everybody, Instagram, Real Deal Siam. That's going to be a clickable link in the show notes, as well as the link to the event that's coming up. Take advantage of this. I mean, it's a great opportunity to not only learn from somebody actively doing this, but to likely make some initial connections in the real estate world, and being around some like-minded individuals goes a long way. Well, if you're ready, Sam, we'll jump into the rapid fire and close out this episode.
Let's go.
What lie do real estate investors often tell themselves?
What lie do they often tell themselves? I would say that they don't need help, right? Many investors think, I can figure this out, I've got it on my own, but there's things you're going to encounter, and ask someone that's already done it before and figure out how they were able to get through whatever, issues you're encountering, because, following someone else's footsteps is much easier than trying to, forge your own path.
If you could go back in time and give your younger self a piece of advice, what would it be?
Hold more versus selling, right? Every house that I've sold over the last 15 years is now worth 2, sometimes 3 or 4 times more than when I sold it for. Now, we sold it because we needed the cash at the time to grow. But if I were to just hold, the net value, our wealth would be 2 or 3 times even greater than what it is now. So I believe in buying and holding versus the fix and flip profit, because you get that quick cash, but down the line, you earn even more.
Do you have a book recommendation?
The One Thing is a book that I really love. I recommend it to everyone who's on here. Read the book. It's called The One Thing. It shows you the principle of blocking out all the noise, blocking out all the other things that need to do, and just focus on one thing at a time, get it done, master it, and then move on to the next.
And then lastly, what single tool or process have you implemented that has had the biggest time-saving impact?
AI, right? We talked about it a couple of times. Implementing AI into our business has taken things to new heights. So if you're not working with AI now, if you think that it's a fad, it's not. It's here to stay. Incorporate it into your business. It makes things that much more scalable, that much more smooth, and actually saves you a lot of money on, your overall business. So definitely implement it in your acquisitions, in your property management, in whatever part of your business that you can fit it, input it, and it's going to make things that much better.
And if you need help with that, you can always find me at realdealcrew.com. I really appreciate your time here today, Sam. And again, I'm going to have everybody head over to your Instagram. It is realdeal_Siam. Clickable link in the show notes. Really appreciate your time, and it was great to meet you.
Thank you for your time. Appreciate you.